What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Daily here from Steam First, and today I am giving you a review for Grey Goo. Grey Goo is a real-time strategy game set in the very, very distant future between three races that have a interlocking storyline that you get when you go through and play the single player. Now, to talk a little bit about what this game particularly has, we'll start off here in the extras. It does have a map editor where you can go in and make your own maps and things like that, as well as the encyclopedia there you can see to do some research on all of the things that it has going on, considering it's a new IP. You have options, leaderboards, and then a standard multiplayer where you can go in and play with friends. There's a ranked and an unranked mode, as well as a few different types of game modes, but only 3 different factions. Now, with all of that said, we're going to look over here into the single player, and you can see that you have the regular skirmish mode there, and then you also have the campaign. So we're going to hop right here into the campaign, just take a quick look at the campaign screen and basically how it works, and then we'll actually hop into the game right after that. Now, something else to keep in mind is you can do the skirmish match with your friends in the multiplayer. Now, here you're looking at the overall world map. You can see here I've got the first 3 missions unlocked for you guys. I've actually played more. This is a new run through, but it starts out kind of slow and it goes through a couple different kinds of cutscenes trying to explain the story and all that kind of stuff. And once you get in game, you'll be progressing level to level, building bases and completing objectives and things of that nature. So it's not really a free and open world kind of campaign. It's more of a campaign map with a scripted linear playthrough. Now what you're looking at here is the map and the person that kind of explains what's going on, and I particularly didn't like this. I thought it was a little unimmersive to have half a torso hanging out on the screen, and not really, it didn't really seem cool. I would have maybe liked a communicator or some kind of other way to kind of look at what you were playing or what you were doing, maybe an actual cutscene or something like that. But this particular way that they did it, I didn't like it. So we're going to hop into the game now and take a look at that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so here we are in game Grey Goo, and the first thing that I want to point out are how the graphics look. They're not spectacular, not stunning to me. I mean, obviously there was some work and some detail put into them. I'm not saying that they're terrible. They just don't look like a next generation real-time strategy should, and this game just came out a couple months ago, and it really, to me, should look a little better than it currently does. There's not a ton of detail on everything, but there are some good details on some of the most important things, which is okay. Now, this particular part that we're looking at is the main hub. This is where you build all of the basically different positions on your base to build different troops or create resources and things like that. And you'll see the piles of Grey Goo sitting around. There's a geyser there of Grey Goo, and it works kind of differently than some of the other RTSs out there, to where you're not really limited in the base building to just a small area or section. You can actually build multiple kind of outposts or base all around the map. And as long as there's a Grey Goo thing next to it, you're going to be able to increase your resources. Now you're going to see here that this is a placement of the extractor, and each particular zone gives a different yield of Grey Goo. So if you position yourself right, you can actually get multiple extractors in one Grey Goo pile. I'm going to go for the biggest one right in the middle, which kind of limits you to just one. So the ship will go over there and kind of build up that, and then you'll need a silo to kind of store the goo in, which increases your maximum resource count. So you'll see here we're going to build a factory to build troops, and then we'll build a silo right after that. Now, some of the other things you're going to notice about this game is there's not a ton of stuff going on at one time. It's more kind of linear, modular shaped battles and stuff like that, and there's not a whole range of troops and stuff like that. You can see here you've got a couple different variants of troops, and then you can build some more add-ons to that to allow you to build other types of troops, but it never gets really big or massive. And that could be one of the downfalls of this stuff. Now, you see here, these things are the things that kind of go and get the Grey Goo and bring it back. You can't build more of them. You only get the 1 or 2 per like little silo that you can build. So I didn't really like that. I really wish I could have kind of made more of those to increase my production, but I guess I can, understand how that goes. One of the other things with resource management in this game is it's not clear. And so this particular part of the game, there's a an earthquake, so there are some kind of random events that kind of spice up the gameplay. But you can see here the combat is just so bland. It's literally you just stand there and shoot each other. There's no different special maneuvers, or there's no different like formations or cover taking and things like that. They do have some things where you can like mount walls and kind of defend walls better, but it just doesn't seem that good. What you just saw there was I placed another small hub, which allows me to build two attachments, kind of like here on the main base, but out here next to this pile of gray goo, so I'll be able to collect more resources and whatnot, and kind of expand my take on the map. Now, in addition to that, there's not really many other goals. You can see here that this guy keeps popping up and talking to me every few minutes. It's really annoying and frustrating to have, a guy come in here. You can see I'm not that far into the game, about 6 minutes, and he keeps coming in here and telling me to take these reactors. Like, I get that. I understand you don't have to tell me every 5 minutes, or probably every 2 minutes at this point. But getting back into the combat here, you can see that it's really just kind of bland. They just stand there and shoot each other, and whoever has the most firepower wins. It's kind of cookie cutter, and it's not really what I expected from Grey Goo. I really had high hopes. I actually requested to do this this review myself. So this was a game I was really looking forward to, and I'm not saying that it's terrible. It's not a bad game. It's just not. It's not new. It's not refreshing. It just feels like even a toned down version of like Company of Heroes or something like that, without the detail. And it just kind of falls flat for what I'm trying to get here. And you can see this guy popping back up again, trying to explain to me what I need to do. So some of the redeeming qualities though for this game is that the campaign is quite long. I put in a bunch of hours just in the first 3 missions, probably about 35 to 40 minutes a piece per mission, so probably 2 or 3 hours within the first 3 missions. And that's if you play it good. If you know how to play these RTSs and you can speed rush your troops and stuff like that, you're going to be able to whiz by the first couple missions. But they get progressively harder, and you get to play some other factions later on down the road without spoiling too much of the story. I'm going to try and stay away from the story aspect. Just know that the story is there, and you don't have to worry about that with Grey Goo. It does have quite an in-depth story for you to play along the mission outline. There's just not a whole lot to do. There's some upgrades and things like that you can do to your troops to kind of make them better. You can upgrade and build bigger types of equipment, like bigger tanks and bigger mechs and stuff like that, but it's nothing that really kind of gets too over the top. I mean, the biggest thing that you can build is like an experimental advanced walking mech type thing, and that takes a lot of practice to do. You have to have a specific number of attachments to one building, and you have to have a specific number of resources, and blah 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 blah. It's really time consuming, and there's not a whole lot of yield or reward out of that kind of thing. Now with the base management and stuff here, I think that part is pretty cool to be able to build your forces, but the unit cap is only 200. I mean, even for small levels, I wouldn't even call this level small. I would just say in the starting levels, it just seems too small. Like, I want to build hundreds of troops, not just a couple. Like, I want to be able to have 400 or 500 troops. I mean, you can see Supreme Commander did that, back in its time, and it had 500 per or whatever, and there was some mods to increase that, and then the Company of Heroes with unlimited, basically, if you get the right mod set. And this game, it just doesn't feel impactful. I mean, you can see here, look, it's just a big group of guys shooting my base. What do? I send my big group of guys over there to shoot their base. So what can I say about Grey Goo? What can we say other than it's used and it's tired? It didn't feel refreshing. So for that reason, Grey Goo is going to score a 5 out of 10 for me, and that's really all I can do. That's really all I can give it. And we definitely appreciate the developers. They are the redeeming factor for this game. They update it quite frequently, and I know they have some other IPs in development that look quite amazing, and I really hope they can deliver on that level. And I really wish and hope the best for Grey Goo. I really, like I said, was excited to see it when it first came up. Now that I'm playing it, I kind of lost that wow factor. So 5 out of 10 for Grey Goo over here at Steam First. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.